Okay, cool.
So it's not a very far distance to drive in a day, but it'll take you all day because you're going to enjoy
stopping.
this
Right.
section.
Welcome back to the Rangeless Travel Podcast. We're your favorite adventure travel hosts. I'm Britt, and this is Ryan. Together, we travel the world by plane, train, and 89 Ford Sportsmobile, capturing the beauty, adventure, and culture in every corner of the globe. Currently, we're traveling the U.S. in an old van with our 2 dogs, Layla and Cedar. Every Tuesday, we share stories and tips to inspire you to book that next trip. So go ahead and don't be shy. Follow along with us at Rangeless_ on Spotify, YouTube, TikTok, and Instagram. Let's dive in. This week on the Rangeless Travel Podcast, we are sharing everything we wish we knew before doing a self-guided tour in the Ha Giang Loop in North Vietnam. This has been requested over and over and over again over the last few months. People have been sliding into our DMs and commenting on some of our past videos, questions specifically about the Ha Giang Loop.
Yes, specifically like things on how to do it.
Yeah.
Like how to go about going to do the Ha Giang Loop. That's mainly what the questions have been.
And about doing it themselves, because a lot of people see online and in TikToks and on Instagram, they see the self-guide, they see the tour guides going through, they see the easy riders where someone else drives the bike and you ride on the back of it.
Yeah.
And those things are great, but for those of us who want a little bit more freedom, adventure, and thrill of it all, you want to do it self-guided.
Right.
So we're going to go through everything we wish we knew before we went. Now, we've both done it once.
Yes. We've both done it once.
We've both done it once. We did it together. And it was Ryan's favorite experience of all time.
It was. It's amazing. Like, okay, Ha Giang is up in the north of Vietnam, which is probably in Vietnam is the most spectacular landscape in all of Vietnam.
The nature is incredible. If you're someone who likes the outdoors, you like nature, you want to be immersed in culture, the north is where you want to be. There's 54 different ethnic groups throughout Vietnam, and something like 36 of those minority ethnic groups are found
in the Ha Giang region.
In the Ha Giang region, which is not too surprising when you look at their geography. There is these huge mountains and cliffs face, which made it really hard to navigate around that area before the roads came in. And the roads are good, but there's still not that many of them, which helps you when you're doing a self-guided tour.
Right.
But as far as movement and stuff goes, it still is limited. The area was also influenced by multiple different cultures over the year. Now, you are on the border of both Laos and China, and you can definitely see a lot, specifically around Ha Giang, you're right by China, and you can see a lot of the Chinese influence in the food. But I mean, the Chinese had occupied the area multiple times over the history of Vietnam. You can also see some French influence because the French were there and occupied. You can also see a little bit less than some of the southern regions in Vietnam, but you can still see a little bit of American influence there as well. But on a much, much smaller scale than you're going to see the influence in, let's say, Saigon, right? There's going to be a lot less of an American influence in there, which I enjoy because I feel like it's a little bit more authentic, less spoiled. I don't know.
Right, yeah. It's more unique. It feels that way, at least to us.
Yeah, and there's better times to do the drive, and there's definitely worse times in the year to do the drive because you're going to want to optimize for the best weather.
Right.
So what's the best time to go?
September to November, and then again March to May are the best times to go because that's the dry season, and also you're not getting stuck in the heat of the summer, which is very intense in Vietnam.
Yeah, especially in the north. It is so humid and it's so hot that I would aim to go during those cooler months just to have a more enjoyable ride.
Now, obviously you can still go in the shoulder season. I mean, we went in the start of January.
And it was beautiful. We got really lucky, though.
We did. We only got rained on twice, and that wasn't even in Ha Giang. Ha Giang, for us, it was beautiful weather. We couldn't ask for better.
Great weather. The whole ride we were there But I think before you even get to Vietnam, it's important to pack accordingly.
Yes.
And there's going to be a few things you need to know. Now, I travel on an American passport and Ryan travels on an Irish passport. So we both had the same requirements before going in. There is no visa on arrival for either one of our passports.
No.
So you have to apply for an e-visa before you go.
Right.
And I would say apply at least 2 weeks ahead of time before
Yes.
you go. Just to make sure that all your paperwork is squared away and that you were approved and that there's not any issues with your
I would
visa.
say minimum of 2 weeks before you
Yeah.
plan to arrive. It's, you don't know. There could be a huge influx of applications or anything like that. Any delays, anything at all, it's better to just do it ahead of
and
time.
with that, you're going to need to know where you're going in from. You're going to need to know where you're leaving from. You're going to need to know the dates that you're there. It's just basic information. It's nothing too crazy, so don't worry about it. But it does need to be filled out. And I think it costs, about $35? Something like that for the e-visa application. It's just something you have to do. So do it. Secondly, before you go, you need to get an international driver's license.
Yes.
Highly recommend. You will probably never be asked for it. Not a single person will most likely ever ask for your international driver's license. But if you don't have it, you're gonna have to pay. So it's just easier to have it. So just have it, and then if you don't ever use it, you don't ever use it. In the US, you go to AAA, it's like $20. You go there, they take your picture, you leave with it in your hand that day. So you just need to look for a AAA office.
Right.
If you're located in the US, and you just go in. You don't need an appointment or anything, you just go in.
Yeah, and it's the same in Ireland and the UK. You can just go to the AA and they'll supply you with the same thing. It's about the same price. It's a nominal fee just to get it. And it works everywhere.
Yeah.
Pretty much. It's like 100 and something countries, 190 countries, 170 countries, something like that. So just for peace of mind, just get it. It lasts for a year.
Yeah, I even had someone recently comment on one of our TikToks and was like, "Oh, but doesn't the American international driver's license, it's not recognized in Vietnam?" I've never heard that before. I've never had an issue with it before. I never had any friends of mine that are also American have an issue with it. I've never even been asked for it in Vietnam. So I've done a motorbike trip in Vietnam twice now. The first time I didn't have an international driver's license, and the second time I did, but I was still never asked for it either time. So don't overthink it, but we'd recommend getting it.
Yeah.
You also need to be mindful of what you're packing, including what kind of bag you're bringing, how much you're bringing, and what you're packing in that bag. I would recommend if you're going to do this motorcycle trip, you're going to want a backpack, and you're not going to want something any more than like 55 liters. We travel with 40-liter packs, and I find that that's like the perfect size. It's a little small, but anything bigger, and it's just like not enjoyable to carry.
Yeah.
I mean, the 40 liter is not enjoyable to carry, so I can only imagine what like an 80-liter backpack is. Like that's not even carryable.
Yeah, but you're not going to be carrying the bags on your back all day because you're on the motorbike.
You're on the
and there's
motorbike.
a rack, but the size of the bag, you don't want to go crazy with it.
Like if you bring a big old like checked rolling luggage, your luggage is not going to fit on the back of that motorbike. Which if you're doing a guided tour isn't that big of a deal because I'm pretty sure some of them offer to bring your bags from place to place. But if you're doing a self-guided tour like you guys are doing, that's why you're here hanging out with us, you're not going to have anywhere to put your bag. So now you have to figure out where to put the bag, and you're going to either need to like pay your accommodation in Hanoi to do it. It's just going to be a headache. So don't bring a big bag. Just a backpack will be all you need. Do make sure that you have a rain cover for that backpack. So you can put the rain cover on because when you're riding, at some point you're going to hit rain. And you don't want to get to your accommodation that night and be exhausted and sore from riding for like 10 hours. And all of a sudden, all of your clothes are wet. That's miserable. Also, when you get there, if something happens to your rain cover, you can also get a trash bag and put it in a trash bag. So like if you don't have a rain cover with your backpack, just get a trash bag when you're there. It's not a big deal. Yeah. Don't overthink it.
Other things to bring would be a rain jacket, I would say.
Or you're gonna
hiking boots, pair of jeans,
Yeah,
Like,
whatever you feel like comfortable riding in. I feel the most comfortable riding in jeans just because it's like a little thicker.
Yeah.
And I don't have the room in a 40-liter backpack to bring like motorcycle pants.
No.
So jeans for me is like a comfortable in between. You're also going to be going into Hanoi before you get to Ha Giang, and that's right outside the city limits is quite a few factories where a lot of big retailers make their clothes. So there is anything you will need, it's going to be in Hanoi. Like I've gotten hiking pants there. I've gotten, you got your bum bag there that you absolutely love. A bum bag's a good one, but again, you can get it there if you want. And most people, I feel like, already have one.
Hiking backpacks, you can get rain jackets, everything. All the outdoor stuff, you can get it there.
So if you don't have it, don't go crazy trying to like purchase a bunch of stuff. Yeah, just wait till you get there and then like have a little like fun shopping day in Hanoi and find all those bits and bobs that you need. One of the things that I say that you absolutely need to buy when you're there, either in Ha Giang or before you take off on the motorbike is a motorbike poncho.
Right.
You're not going to be able to buy this in the US or in Europe before you go. You have to get it in Vietnam. And we sprung for ones that were a little bit more expensive. They were about $5 US.
Yeah.
And it's like hooded and it's a giant poncho and there's a clear like a little plastic window that goes over your lights and it fits in your mirrors and like...
Yeah, it like covers you and the front of your bike.
Yeah.
And like it lets your light shine out so you can still see where you're going.
But you're not getting hit.
You're not getting pelted with the rain. And it also like breaks and stops the wind hitting your hands, which get really, really cold and when it's cold out.
Yeah.
So that helps. And like that was a lifesaver for us.
Yeah, so get that when you're there. I would say the only thing that you really need to make sure that you buy before you go would be if you're interested in motorcycle gloves.
Yeah.
Now, they don't really like sell them around, but the place that we rent motorbikes from, which we'll talk about a little bit later, does have them for sale. They were like the same ones that I bought for $6, $8 off of Amazon, but they were selling for the equivalent of like $20 US.
Yeah.
So, and they were nothing special. I brought something that I was totally fine with leaving somewhere if I decided I didn't want them anymore. But I did enjoy riding with motorcycle gloves. So if that's something that you enjoy riding with or it's your first time ever riding, I would say bring a pair of those off Amazon. Everything else you can get there. Don't worry about it.
Yeah. The other thing, not so much packing, but to download onto your phone are the apps that you're going to need.
The apps you need, yes, absolutely.
So you want to download Google Maps. You want to download the map onto your phone for the region that you're going to be in prior to going out on the road because internet can be spotty. Also, Maps.me is like the local version of that. And then you're going to want the Hostel World, the Booking.com.
Yeah, Hostel World, Booking.com, and Agoda are going to be your top 3 accommodation apps throughout Southeast Asia.
Right.
I found that Booking.com, for the most part, typically has the best deals, but I always cross-reference and do all 3 and just figure out which one is the best deal for what it is I'm looking for.
Right.
On top of that, you're also going to want to make sure that if you're an American, you have a Venmo app. You want to download Venmo before you go there because God forbid anything happens to any of your debit cards or you lose your credit card or whatever it is. If you lose it and you cannot get cash out of the ATM, it breaks, I don't know, it's stolen, you can then freeze your account and unfreeze your account get your banking apps as well. You want all your banking apps and your Venmo app so that you can find another American and then be able to Venmo them money and they'll be able to pull the money out for you. It's just a safe net, but you can't download it outside the US and last time I tried, not even with a VPN. So make sure you have that downloaded. Banking apps, make sure you have them downloaded. And then as far as like bank accounts and stuff and debit cards go, just make sure to check the dates of when they expire because you don't want to get out there and then your debit card's expired.
Right.
That will be no fun. So that's something you want to check as well before you go. And then I recommend, this is if you're going for a longer trip because I stayed out there for a long time. I still do. I have 2 checking accounts that I keep money in case one card gets skimmed or compromised or the card breaks or it's stolen. I still have access to money without having to rely on the Venmo trick.
Right.
Phones, your phone. We have T-Mobile, and we have their international plan, so it's about like $80 a line, and you have unlimited data. It's not always the quickest, but you do have unlimited data. And What else do you have? Oh, it's 25 cents a minute to phone call, and you get unlimited texting. We use that, but if you don't travel around as much as we do, you might not need it. So you can also get an eSIM and then use that while you're there. Or you can get a SIM card in Vietnam when you land, either at the airport or literally like any convenience store. And you can use that to get around as well.
Yeah, and it's going to be a lot more affordable to do it that way than...
That is your most affordable answer. If you do not need your specific phone number and you can keep in touch with people through WhatsApp or social media or whatever, just go for the SIM when you get there. That's going to be your most affordable option. Then it's time for your trip. You're going to fly either into Ho Chi Minh City or you're going to fly into Hanoi. Either way, you have to get to Hanoi. Once you're at Hanoi, we would recommend renting your motorbike here.
Yes.
From Style. Also, if you're looking for things to do in Hanoi, we have past YouTube vlogs, podcasts, short form videos, TikToks, Instagrams, all about what to do in Hanoi and throughout Vietnam. So you guys can check back to that at any time you'd like. But once you're in Hanoi, you got to rent your motorbike. I guess you could also buy your motorbike. If you're going to be there for more than 2 months, I would say, or more than a month, I would say just buy your motorbike. It's going to be in between like $200 to like $500 or $600 US, depending on the bike, but most of them are around that like $250, $300 mark. You're going to ask at your accommodation. You're going to ask people in your hostel. Someone's going to be selling a bike. Trust me. Especially if you're a little bit more mechanically inclined or you've been around bikes a lot, you go for it. If you're not, or you're not mechanically inclined, or you haven't been around bikes a lot, like the first time I ever showed up in Hanoi, I'd never ridden a motorbike before, let alone a manual one. So I learned there in an alleyway. It's a lot less sketchy than that sounds. But we rented from Style. I've rented from Style both times I've done it. And cannot recommend them enough.
Yeah,
they're
really
fantastic.
Really good. Their customer service was amazing too.
So we rented 2 bikes for 1 month in Hanoi. For how much did that cost each bike?
So mine was a little bit more expensive than yours. I think
you got a fancier bike.
I did. I think mine was like $250.
And what kind of bike did you get?
I got a Suzuki GD110.
I got a Honda
Wave.
I got a Honda Wave, and it was like $180 US.
A month,
and then what did I get before that? And then I got a Honda Wind the time before that, and it was like $170 US. Also, the prices are going to depend a little bit on where you pick up the bike.
Yes.
And Style has a location in pretty much every tourist city around Vietnam, and you can pick up and drop off bikes at any of those locations, but the prices vary a little bit because like if you're dropping it off in a smaller city, whatever, it makes sense. Like there may be extra costs, someone might have to bring it back to a bigger city, whatever, but you can. It's open to you. And then you have to do
there's also deposits.
And the deposits are a little
expensive.
Steep.
Yeah, like yours was $400 and mine was $500 that had to be left. And then you get it back at the end.
At the end. Now, you can do it on a credit card or you can do it in cash. And then you can get your deposit back. And they don't do it back on the credit card anymore, I don't think.
No, I think they give you back cash. And depending on if they have dollars at the day that you go to get it back, you might not get it back in the currency that you paid it in. So you might get it back in dong. And then you have like, I don't know how much that is in dong.
A lot of dong. You got a lot of dong. Or you might get it back in US dollars. I think we got a little bit of both.
We did, and we asked for it that way because we still had like a week left in Ho Chi Minh at the time, and we wanted some spending money.
Yeah. So now that you have your bike. Oh, and also, Style will go through everything with you. They'll go through if you want to help planning any of the roads, they'll go through all the roads with you because there are some roads that scooters can't go on. You can avoid this. That's why you have your maps, your different map apps, and that's why you have them downloaded, and that's why you have the SIM card. Just avoid highways, and you will be fine. Yeah. And bikes don't pay tolls.
No, you just drive around the tolls. There's a little like slipway to the side.
There'll be other people too, so just like follow traffic. Just follow the traffic.
And as she said, set your GPS to avoid highways in the options, and it won't even try to bring you on the like cars only road.
Yes. Anything else about renting from Style? Helmets.
Helmets, yes.
Helmets. So your rental will come with a helmet included. That helmet will be open face.
Like a bucket helmet.
We both opted, and I opted both times to then just purchase a helmet from
like a full face helmet.
I think the
with a chin
helmets,
guard.
do you remember how much that was?
I think it was like anywhere between 40 and 55. I think
that's
we were
what
on
it
the cheaper
was.
end of things. They did go higher, but that's what we got.
Yeah, it was just to have that face protection. Also, we knew that sometimes it would be raining and sometimes it would be colder because of the time of year we were there.
Mm-hmm.
So we just wanted that extra protection, and I would recommend getting that extra protection. But at the end of the day, it's what you're comfortable with.
Right.
So now that you have your bike, there are 3 ways to get from Hanoi to Ha Giang. The first one is you cannot rent your bike in Hanoi because, like we said, Style has a location in Ha Giang. You can just rent your bike from Style in Ha Giang. You can take the sleeper bus. You just get on the bus at nighttime. You wake up. You're in Ha Giang. Or you can take a train.
Right.
The train goes like 3/4 of the way there, and you can put your bike on the train. Or lastly, you can do what we did.
Mm-hmm.
We rode from Hanoi to Ha Giang. It's like a 5 to 6 hour ride. Nothing really to write home about, but we did it. It wasn't hard. It was just kind of like a day of getting used to your new bike.
Exactly.
The hardest part of the whole ride is going to be going from inside the city to outside the city.
Right.
Oh, and if you're staying in Hanoi, you're probably going to want to stay in the Old Town. It's where most of the tourists stay. It's also where the Style is located, which just makes it a little bit easier. So, we're on the bikes. You get out of the city. If you are riding by yourself, you just put in your GPS where you're going. There's going to be a phone holder for you. Just follow the GPS and live your life. If you're in a group, the traffic is a lot. The traffic's a lot. It's like a dance. Just go slow, go comfortable, be cautious.
Right.
Keep an eye on everything going on around you. Now, if you're in a group, that can be hard to now keep up with people.
Yeah, because there's like tons of other motorbikes, there's cars, there's trucks. And one thing to
So
know...
much merging is going on,
always. The roads operate a different system over there. So the bigger the vehicle, they have right of way.
Yes.
So just because you're on the main road doesn't mean the truck's not going to pull out in front of you. You have to make way for the truck.
They're coming.
Mm-hmm.
It's your job as someone behind someone else
Not
to
to
avoid them.
Yes.
They're just going because they're just going.
Right.
So how I would recommend to do it, now doing it a couple of times, like driving in the city with other people, would be everyone pulls up their map and you pick a place right outside the city, right outside all the traffic. There's going to be some like open air rest stop situations. I would pick like one. It's not going to like be on the map, but like they're there.
Yeah.
I would pick one of the spots. Once you get over the bridge, once you get outside the city, you're going to know exactly what we're talking about. When we say bridge, it's a giant bridge. You are going to know. Just a spot.
Yeah,
over there.
And make sure everyone picks the same spot.
Everyone picks the same spot.
And that way everyone knows where they're going, and it should roughly take you like 30 minutes.
So then you don't have to worry about trying to keep eyes on everyone because it's too hard. It's too much work. You just make your way out of the city and you all have a meeting spot and you meet there and then continue to Ha Giang.
Right.
Now everyone's in Ha Giang and everyone has a bike, right?
Mm-hmm.
Ha Giang is kind of just a stopping point for people.
Yeah, the town itself, there's not much to write home about. It feels very industrial.
Well, that's funny to say that, Ryan, because Ryan had his first bao bun.
I think it's the best bao bun I've ever had.
A bao bun, for anyone who doesn't know, it's like a steam bun. So it's like fluffy, almost like white bread on the outside. It can be stuffed with like meat, veggies, noodles, eggs, all kinds of delicious stuff on the inside. And Ryan had never had one, and he had his first one in Ha Giang. And I was like, I think you're gonna like these. He's like, oh, I don't know, maybe.
It was
and then
really
he had it. And he was like, that was so good. I want another one. And it was just like, it's street food. So we walked past the woman again, and I'm pretty sure you got another one.
I did.
So.
And it was delicious.
So not much to write home about, just the best bao buns he's ever had in his whole life.
Yeah.
And he's been trying to recreate that moment forever now. But as far anything more than bao buns, it's not. It's just your jumping point to the adventure.
Right. And yeah, to find a place to stay, you can book it the night before. You can go through any of the apps that we already listed. It's not that hard. You're going to want to get up pretty early every morning. as you set out now from Ha Giang.
Yeah.
Like-
Now, the Ha Giang Loop itself, the main loop of the Ha Giang Loop is you can plan for it to take you anywhere from 3 to 5 days, depending on how fast you ride, how comfortable you are on a bike, how many stops
detours
you
wanna
want to
make.
Yeah, so it's going to be 3 to 5 days. If you're looking to go a little bit more than just the Ha Giang Loop and you're looking to add the Banjiak waterfalls, which if you have time, we recommend that you do, you can add an extra 2 days on.
Yeah.
So you're looking from anywhere from like 3 days to a week to just do that main circuit area. The first morning, you're going to want to leave Ha Giang early. And you're going to ride to, what's the town that we went to?
I think Quan Ba is the first town that you like navigate to, but you're probably going to make it as far as Yen Min on the first night.
Now, this day, there's no big attractions.
No.
The ride itself is going to be your attraction.
Yeah.
Your eyes are going to be like, what? Wow. Look at that. Who is that?
Yeah,
Did you see that?
There's a couple of like specific viewpoints on the way, but like you'll see them.
You'll see them. It will be like viewpoint.
As soon as you come across it, you're gonna see it, and you're like, oh wow, this is amazing.
And as far as getting petrol on the way as well, because I think I forgot that and skipped over it. There's gonna be petrol stations, but sometimes they run out of petrol because they have to be brought up, and because it's a little bit more remote up there and a bit less developed. It's just sometimes it's far and few between. So you can't drink the tap water. So you're going to have big 1 liter water bottles. You're going to save 1 or 2 empty ones, and you're going to fill up those water bottles when you fill up your bike, so you always have some extra ones.
With petrol, yeah.
With petrol. Yeah, you're going to fill them up with petrol, and you're going to use that. So you ride one day, then you get up. Next morning, you're also going to want to get up super early, because this is a big day, because there's an attraction. So what's the second day look like?
The second day, you're leaving out of Yen Min, and you are heading towards Dong Van, but there is a detour if you want.
You're going to do this detour.
It's the Long Ku Flag Tower, and it's probably like a 2-hour detour, like an hour there and an hour back off the main road, but it takes you all the way up to the very north of Vietnam, onto the border with China. And there's this flag tower overlooking the border, and you can drive up the mountain and then climb up this flag tower, and you're way up in the sky, and you're looking out over all of China and northern Vietnam, and it's incredible.
Yeah. You do want to be careful and stay on the main paths there, because you hear about tourists ever so often deciding they're going to go on a little like rogue hike or a little exploring. There are minefields still up there between the Vietnam and the Chinese border. So you don't want to go on little like rogue hikes. So stay on the pathways and the roads and where you're supposed to be, and you'll be fine. But we highly recommend going and climbing up. It's really beautiful.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And then you go down, and then where do you stay that night?
Dong Van is where you're going to stay that night. It's a big town. There's like a bunch of places to eat and places to stay. Like, it's nice.
It's nice.
Yeah.
The next morning, again, you're going to get up early.
Yes. This morning is probably, this ride today out of Dong Van going towards Meo Vac is probably the most beautiful scenery you're ever going to see in your life.
And there's also an attraction if you dare to do it.
If you dare to do it. We tried to do it, and
what
it
is
didn't
it called?
work out. It's the Sky Path to Happiness.
It's also considered like one of the
dangerous roads in the world.
Yeah, because at some locations it's no more than 4 feet wide.
Yes, and it's on the side of a mountain like this. It's not very wide at all. There's no guardrail. It is just a dirt track, basically, and it's intimidating. Obviously, you're on a motorbike.
We tried to do it.
We followed the sign, then we got lost. And then
Ryan's
while we were trying to turn around, my bike fell off its side stand and broke and would not start again.
So we didn't do it.
We didn't end up doing it.
So
no.
we have to go back to do it.
Yes.
And I'm okay with that.
Good.
That's good, yeah. So we have to go back and do it. So you should do it if you feel comfortable enough on a bike. I know lots of people that have done it. You'll be fine. Just go for it. Just use your wits and be smart.
Yeah.
And then, so then after there, where do you stay that night?
Mayovac.
Mayovac that night. And then what are your options from Mayovac?
From Mayovac, that's where like your main choice is now, because you can go out towards the Banjiak waterfalls, which is what we did.
Mm-hmm.
We'll touch on that in a second. Or you can turn back towards Ha Giang and complete the loop.
And that's the Ha Giang Loop right there. So you go from Dom back to Ha Giang. That's your Ha Giang Loop. That's what's going to take you 3 to 5 days to do, in case in some of those spots you want to stay more than one night.
Right.
And you want to like really soak up in
Mm-hmm.
some of the stuff and some of the minority culture and everything that's up there. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
Now, if you decide you want to do more than just the Ha Giang Loop, that's when you're going to make a little detour and you're going to do the Banjiak waterfalls. This you need to plan at least an extra 2 days for.
Yes.
The Banjiak waterfalls, you cross the plateau. Now, in my opinion, this plateau that you cross is the most beautiful piece of Vietnam I've ever motorbiked through, and I have motorbiked Vietnam from top to bottom twice. It is absolutely breathtaking. And then once you get to the waterfalls, they're gorgeous. They're not that built up, and there's quite a lot of area. So even though a lot of people go to them, it never felt, at least for me,
crowded.
like crowded.
At least not on the Vietnamese side.
Not on the Vietnamese side. The Chinese side is like a whole amusement park.
Yeah.
And you can see the people, so you can wave to them like, hi, and people will wave.
Yeah.
There's also a little boat tour that you can get on, and they'll like take you out on this little raft, and you can go in the water and like get closer to the waterfall. We didn't opt to do that, but it was there. There were like pony rides for kids. You'll see a lot of tourists, like local tourists, domestic tourists, as well as international tourists. So you'll see a little bit of everyone there. There's some food stands there. There's a gift shop there. It's very much a tourist attraction. Oh, and no drones there. Those signs everywhere. Everywhere else, you can fly your drone like no problem.
Outside of the cities, like
outside of the cities, you'll have no problem. Like on the Ha Giang Loop, you can like fly it all over, but you cannot fly your drone at the Banjiak waterfalls.
No, it's on the border with China.
That's what it says. They'll bang it down.
Yeah, because the waterfall is the border. Like the middle of the waterfall is the border.
It's like half the waterfall
the
belongs to China and half the waterfall belongs to Vietnam.
Yeah.
Now, once you do that, you're gonna ride. Where do you stay?
You stay in Cao Bang. You're gonna stay in Cao Bang, but the night before. So you leave out of Mayovac. You're not gonna make it all the way to the waterfall in one day. It's too far. So you have to stay in Cao Bang, which is another big city that's like, it had like a local vibe, but it was really like, I really like Cao Bang. I would have stayed there for extra days.
Yeah, it was really nice.
Yeah, and there was like a whole street food like
and there was definitely more like small adventures that you could have gone on. Like you could probably just spend a month like you know doing all the stuff up there. But it's not so touristy. Like tourists frequent there, but it's not built for tourists.
Right.
If that makes sense.
Yeah.
So if you're looking for like an actual experience where it's not like, oh, every place I go has French fries and chicken nuggies on the menu, then like this is something that you're really going to enjoy because you are diving in to their culture. They just have tourists come through, so there are accommodations and there are homestays and there are hostels and there are like tours going on, but it's not set up for tourists. It's set up for the people that live there, as it should be.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's actually up on that plateau is where we got the best bowl of pho that we'd ever had in our lives.
Ever had in a tiny little village.
Yeah, it was like a market day in the village. Like everyone was bringing their cows and
they had like their water buffaloes walking down the street. It was right in the middle of the plateau, and we like came through, and we were so hungry, and we knew we still had like quite a few hours ahead of us in riding, and we're riding through, and it's hard. There are restaurants everywhere in Vietnam. Never worry about going hungry. You will never go hungry in Vietnam.
No.
You may need to have extra petrol on you, but you don't need to worry about extra snacks because there will be somewhere to stop. But sometimes it's hard to tell the difference between a mechanic shop and a restaurant because at least in the U.S., you drive past somewhere and there's like a ton of motorbikes or vehicles in front of somewhere and you go, oh, a restaurant. No, it's sometimes in Vietnam, it is a mechanic shop and there's just a bunch of people. It's like dudes, just like hanging out, being dudes, like working on their bikes together. And then sometimes it's a restaurant. So we passed one and we were like, mechanic shop or restaurant? And I'm like, it's a restaurant. It's a restaurant. We should go. So we pull in, we park our bikes, we walk in. It is all locals. And everyone kind of gets a little quiet and like turns around and looks at us. And it's all old men.
Yeah.
All old men. And we're looking at each other. And inside I'm like, we've came to the right spot. Like there's a bunch of local old men and like no Westerners in here. I know that this is going to be the good stuff. So we walk through and there's like a younger woman like smiling at us and she's like, oh, you know, hi. And then there's an older woman, like a grandma, stirring this giant cauldron of a pot, and I peek into it and I can smell it, by the way. And I'm like, yes, 2? And she's like, mm-hmm. So we sit down and the younger woman brings us this big basket of like herbs and bean sprouts. Yeah. Honestly, like one of the best things I like about Vietnam, which is so hard because I really love Vietnam, but with every meal they serve this like big basket of bean sprouts and herbs and like different lettuces and delicious things to like add to what you're eating.
Yeah.
And then she comes like not 2 seconds later with these giant bowls of pho.
They were so good.
And it had, if you've ever been to the Philippines, they have like the lechon, which is the crispy, succulent pig. Yeah, that was on top. And my mouth is literally watering talking about it. And it was just so good. And the flavor was like just like such a strong umami flavor. So much of a smoky flavor. You got like the pork and the fresh herbs. And then when you put the bean sprouts in, it gave you that bite. And like the noodles, there were rice noodles and they were like thick and they were perfection.
It was good.
It was so good. And me and him were so happy while eating it. And as we're eating, all of like the old men at all these tables around us are like staring at us. They're like, are they gonna like it? Are they gonna like it? And we're like, And they're like, yeah. Like they're so excited that these random Westerners that they thought were so lost were just like living their best lives on these noodles because we were like, these are so good. Like we love these. And they were like, yeah.
And then we went to pay afterwards, and
I'd gone into the restroom.
Yeah, and I thought that I went to the restroom, and I came out, and then you went into the restroom, and I thought that you'd paid already for at least your bowl, and I went to pay, and the lady wanted the equivalent of 50 cents in US.
No, $1. It was $1.
Oh, it was $1. It was $1. Sorry.
$1.
And I was like, yeah, but for 2.
Yeah,
and she's like, yeah. So it was 50 cents a bowl.
Yeah. So it was also the
cheapest bowl of pho
and the best bowl of pho we've ever had in our whole lives, and I will be chasing that high for the rest of my life.
I've scoured Google Maps afterwards,
trying to find
multiple times.
I
went up this road. I know it was on here. I was trying to find this place. Yeah. I can't find it.
So if you're on the plateau going to Ban Giac Waterfalls and you pass this small little village, you're gonna pass multiple ones, but there's a market. It's gonna be a market on your right hand side, and there's some buildings on your left, and you see a cauldron. You go to that cauldron because they have the best pho ever.
They do.
Yeah. All right, so let's move on. Now, if you go out to Ban Giac Waterfalls, you're going to come back. You're probably going to stay the night again. So it wouldn't be a bad idea to book that accommodation for 2 nights so you can leave your pack there. Yeah. You don't have to worry about it when you go explore the waterfalls. You come back, it's all said and done.
That's in Cao Bang.
That's in Cao Bang. Now, you have choices here. You can do what we did, which was go down to Hanoi, and then we continued south. Or if you're looking to go to Sapa, which we did not ride to this time, but I have been to before, but I took a sleeper bus there. Now, if you're looking to go to Sapa, you're going to go back the way you came, finish the Ha Giang Loop, and then continue west to Sapa.
Sapa, yeah.
And then from Sapa, you can either go back to the Ha Giang and drop your bike off there, or you can ride your bike down to Hanoi and leave your bike there. Or if you really have time and you were smart and you got that 60-day visa, is it 60-day or 90-day?
There's a 90-day one now.
Ooh, if you were a genius and got the 90-day visa, then you're going to keep going all the way down to Ho Chi Minh City. Is there anything else as far as renting the motorbike?
Just like standard speed limits, I guess. Everything's in kilometers per hour. Outside of the city limits, it's 60 is the max speed. And then in the city limits, it's 40. Yeah. And there's like a little sign with like a village on the sign, and that lets you know if you're in or out of the city.
That is a good one to know because there won't be a lot of actual speed limit signs.
No.
But the cops will like stop you if you're going too fast. Mm-hmm. Oh, this is a good one, actually. So you're going to want to have 2 wallets. You're going to want to have your wallet, and that's like put away. Then you're going to want to have your decoy wallet.
Right.
So this is if you get stopped in some sort of checkpoint or something with the police, you're going to be able to give them your decoy wallet. In this wallet, you want in Vietnamese dong about the equivalent of $20 US.
Right.
That's what your bribe money is.
Yeah.
You're also going to want, if you have it, some sort of expired license or ID or something. I use an old driver's license, but you can use whatever it is you have, just in case they try to confiscate it from you.
Yeah.
They don't like now have your passport. They don't now like have your ID. This is just to save yourself, because most likely you're going to be fine, but you don't want to get stuck in a situation where people are trying to extort money. And this can happen anywhere in the world, but just protect yourself. So make sure you have the decoy wallet, the equivalent of $20 US in Vietnamese dong, and some sort of like invalid ID. Even if it's like, if you're like young, it's like an old school ID. Like anything with like your picture that's
and your name on it.
And your name on it.
Yeah. And maybe a couple of expired debit cards or something like that.
Yeah, just like so it looks
like it's your actual wallet.
So it looks like your actual wallet. As far as police go, the normal police are not allowed to chase you. Mm-hmm. So
that's like your local police.
That's like your local police. So if you're getting like waved down or something by a police officer, I recommend just pretend like you don't see them. Mm-hmm. Just keep going. They are not allowed to follow you. They are not allowed to chase you. They're not allowed to do that because it is unsafe and it'd be bad PR if something were to happen. So especially if you're not doing anything wrong, because then it might just be a little scammy situation. Now, there are police that can chase you. If they are dressed like a SWAT team, like head to toe black, they look cool.
Yeah.
Like if there is a gentleman on a really cool looking motorbike, head to toe, looks like he's aerodynamic AF, like a sports car version of a human, he can chase you. So if he is after you, stop.
Yeah, but those guys are like the elite police force in Vietnam, and they're very unlikely to try and shake you down for a bribe.
You're doing so, they're not gonna. They are held to like a really high standard. They're not trying to bribe. There are no bribes going on here.
Yeah.
There's no extortion going on here. Like they are top. For them to come after you, that's your fault. You did something.
Yeah, so
that's on you.
You
did a boo-boo.
Stick to the speed limits. And also, the other benefit of wearing the full face helmets is it's less likely for them to, like, say the local police, to see you as a tourist and think, oh, I could get money out of them. If you're wearing a full face helmet, it's a lot harder to see who's riding the bike.
That also goes for like women. Like I take my hair and make it as not visible as I can, so they don't know that like I have lighter hair. Mm-hmm. You know, they don't know, they can't see it. They can't see anything. They don't really know. Right. Plus, I was on a Honda Wave?
Yeah, which is the most common motorbike in all of Vietnam.
The most common. Another fun fact, with your motorbike, do not leave it out at night. Do look for accommodations that they have an indoor spot for your motorbike. Mm. Most do, even if they don't look like they do. They like bring it into like the lobby area. Yeah,
that's a good point. Don't leave it out at night, because it's very likely to be stolen.
Yeah. So you don't want to do that. Everything that we wish we knew the first time we rode motorbikes, and everything you need to know to go do a self-guided tour of the Ha Giang Loop. And if you do want to look into more Vietnam stuff, we have so much Vietnam content. So where you can find it on Spotify or wherever you listen to your podcast, YouTube, TikTok, and Instagram, and it's all at Rangeless_. Until next week.
Bye.